Hello, my name is Roberto Benitez. I am Topic with Cinema. Talking about cinema, it's talking about humanity and fragment itself. I am the history humanity. But what is cinema? It's a several concepts and all work with each other. Establishment for the projection of cinematographic films. Cinema 2. Cinematographic films in which a real or imaginary story is told. 3. Industry and commercialization of cinematographic films. But cinema is art, from its expression based on image and sound. And our filmmaker named Andrei Tarkovsky said, "It's our life is spiritual enrichment. The art is the means to reach it." That's say, we can say they art is a way and cinema the seventh art. To understand what it's art, we must learn it begins. In March 1885, the war changed the Department of Workers from Lumiere factory in Lyon be Lumiere Brothers in Paris. These were the first etching shorts, but the first that innovated the concept was Tournée to the Monk, white established the first cinematographic concepts. Charles Petet was the first to record synchronized sound and image. White hand the movies while skin looked like this. Alice Guy was the first person to have filmed a narrative film which was the Half Fairy. Edwin Porter achieved his masterpiece, which was Assaulted and Robbed of Train, the first action movie in history. Okay. Not one has an doubt to tell were important years for the world of cinemas. New we have to worry about cinema has an industry and the largest Austin Hollywood. At the beginning of the 22nd century, the main film production companies began to emerge. 1. Ethan Cup. 2. Vitagraph. 3. Biograph. And located in Nueva York. In the beginning, they began big exclusivity to actors. At this time, there's specialization in fields carried Nickelodeons begin to flow, hissing the name of channel. But why and the project Dishonored might begin to use the moon produced companies. Asian pushed for the heavy hand and stricter rules for the mandatory taxes. People who did not want to pay taxes shut the fields and empty warehouse and garages what for it equipment. But the most persistent emigrated to the coast of United States, arrived until it now place which was Hollywood. This was ideal for them since it close to Mexico in the case they have to flee. In this place the independent producers the group and funded 1. Paramount Pictures 2. Universal Pictures 3. MGM Pictures 4. Warner Pictures 5. Fox Pictures. This plays and very good for the real stars. Of all these directors and producers, the most prominent was David Ward Griffiths. He started working to biograph starting shorts, but in the ambition he wanted to shoot bigger and more reality films. Where later he made The Klansman, a very controversial film, but wanted what cause impact that until today continues to remember. This film was the first to last 3 hours and it cost 110,000 and lot the money for that then in quarantine. And the rise tripled the amount and it was named the first blockbuster. At the box office they did well, but a increasing in spotlight from the critic of that time. Another of the most important filmmakers of the time was Thomas H. Ince. He was the son of family of artists. He was well known for his car-wide details. He was in charge of marketing the Western Grid. At this time, productions that told historical events also began as hyper. Productions such as the Ten Commandments of Cleopatra became paradigm spectacle and over time then because of subgenres begins biblical productions such as Kings of Kings and the Bible. In 1927, the Academy of Cinematographic Art and Sciences was founded, and 2 years later, the first hour event of the Academy was held. What's today is not as the Oscar Awards. This was not the same as new at the time of only a dinner, where recognition were Guy Band and Annie Note who hold pain and infants cold vote. The ex-prisioners arrived from Germany in the East War days, having come out of the First World War. Different authors of books began to tell expressionist stories until being 1919. The first expressionist films, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, were released. In 2022, director Farid Warni Murray will have worked In theater, he premiered his debut called Nostradamus in Symphony of Horror, which to this day continues to be Braidman of expressionism on horror cinema in general. It should be noted that the film was intended as an adaptation of the novel of Dracula, but this was not shown to copyright issues. This didn't prevent the film from being a success. And beginners remember to die. And this is but SpongeBob. 5 years later, Metropolis emerged. Almost the first futurist films was the of the stranger and the workers of city again powerful. What dominate is city set of future. This film comes out for its visual power in inspired films such as Star Wars, Back to the Future, Blade Runner, and Fight Element. Years later, in the theories and the middle of the Great Depression, the Universal Productions Company decided to be on the monster movie, based successful novels, and the example of these are 1. Dracula, 2. The Money, 3. The Man of Laughter. These films were inspiration George R. Jung and Tim Burton. Years passed, and which the rival of Second World Cup war movies began as followed. But this is not shot out as much as Casablanca, a beautiful farewell. The Western is considered the cinematographic career par excellence. This covers a specific time during the course of the West during the 19th century and the founded new country. This was Aitor Records in Los Angeles, where great persecution shows could be shot. The masterpiece interior was the last pursuit of John Ford. Film noir is a type of cinema that also emerged in the era of Western, but this focused on more ambiguous charts, white and dark, Thor in War and Asteroids, alcohol and tobacco coloring line inherent. Also charts for begin black and white cinema. The first film of this genre is Maltese Falcon Front in 1941. The main exponent of General was Orson Welles. He was a radio host who has responsibility for the event known as the War of Wars. The directorial debut is this director season. At this time, comedy also served as an exponent, even developing a subgenre called screenwriting, based on crisis situations. Okay. Now what will move forward and likely in time, and we will talk about the cinema of the 70s, and because for many it is their favorite. The first years now that limited system were difficulties sometimes for use aid. the owners of the production companies no longer had so many ideas, and the fields that were realized were faced one after another. This changed with the arrival of Bonnie and Clyde in 1967, which one through a very difficult production process. But when this was realized because of suspense, since in the cult and your audience and the critics slide is a lot, as well as new actors. A few months later, he had a high arrival of the graduated, a film titled The History of the University Student who began relationships with the older woman. Captivated the audience and it was very controversial for its time. The next successful production was Rosemary's Baby. It was directed by Roman Polanski. This added to the film palpable terror writing scent. Apart from this, a young director named Roger Corman woke up is a first opportunity to talent young people, of which many spot also Dennis Hooper, Per Fonda, Francis Ford, Jack Nicholson, and Peter Bogdanovich. This fact that go first led Rage a bit when in 1972 The Godfather arrived, a film that is still favorite of many. The actors' careers were catapulted and the production were delayed. A year later came The Exorcist, showing that Hollywood could make horror movies and to put fly very high in this genre. At that time, the most promising film students of the time graduate which were Brian De Palma, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Martin Scorsese. Brian De Palma premiered Diabolical Sisters and I Was in Paradise and Carrie. He knew who exploited his ability to exploit Sputnik and suspenseful moments through cinematographic resources. Martin Scorsese premiered Wire Stitch, which could be in the his point is that time, reinventing and new styles that could be explored once and came in Taxi Driver. This film is one the most remembered for showing a different New York. Steven Spielberg started from the early half, watched us for cinema. He recorded different films. He until on the recorded one, The Shark, which had Congress secured and copies. George Lucas filmed American Graffiti, was to have a medium success, but his life is that of millions of people's giants in 1970-19. What's the arrival of Star Wars? This inaugurated a new era of Hollywood superproductions that didn't order times. Even Marvel movies on state in productions model to Star Wars, one of budget both of its hits. I hope you do like the video. Thank you. Goodbye.